In this week's Seder Bamidbar, Moshe Rabbeinu is commanded by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to take a census for the people of Israel. And the census itself is divided into two different groupings. The larger group is that of the 11 Shvatim, the 11 tribes of the people of Israel, who are to be counted as a function of their age, namely, from the time period of 20 years and above, when a man was ready to fight in the tzava, in the army of Israel, he was to be counted. The second counting, however, refers not to the 11 tribes, but rather to the singular tribe of Levi. And they were to be counted miben chodesh v'mala, from the age of 30 days, when they were considered to be viable human beings. And the Psukim tell us that when Moshe Rabbeinu is commanded by the Kadosh Baruch Hu to count the Bnei Levi from the age of 30 days and above, Vayifkados Moshe al pi Adonai, Moshe Rabbeinu counted them by the mouth, as it were, of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, kasher tzuva, as he was commanded. And Rashi, citing the Medrash Rabbah of Bamidbar, explains that Moshe Rabbeinu was greatly perplexed, and he turned to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he said, from 30 days and older, I am to count the Bnei Levi, the children of Levi, the sons of Levi. Why, I can't enter the tents. It would simply be immodest. Where the women, understandably, the mothers would be nourishing their 30-day-year-old children. How will I know how many children of Levi there are? And the Medrash tells us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu responded to Moshe Rabbeinu, Asay atah shalcha, you do what is yours to do, you act responsibly, Vani e'aseh sheli, and I will do what is mine to do. Halach Moshe, so Moshe Rabbeinu was instructed by God to present himself at the door of each and every tent of the Levites. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as it were, would take two steps in front of Moshe Rabbeinu, enter the tent, as it were, and the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, through a baskol, would instruct Moshe Rabbeinu how many children, how many Bnei Levi, how many babies of 30 days and older there were to be found in the tent. And the obvious question is, if Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't actually taking the census anyway because he couldn't enter the tent, then why didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu simply tell them, Moshe Rabbeinu, there are X number of Levi, of Bnei Levi, of children within the Shevet of Levi? Why did he have to go through the entire process of presenting himself at the door of the tent? And I think that the answer is because by Moshe Rabbeinu presenting himself at the opening of the tent of every Levi, he was essentially informing the mothers and the fathers within the Shevet of Levi, know that you have a son who's 30 days. You should know that he is destined to be a leader of Klal Yisrael, one who will serve Klal Yisrael as the representatives in the Mishkan, or in fact, by the Beis HaMikdash, or through the teaching and dissemination of the Torah HaKdosha. Yoru Mishpatecha yaakov. They will be the teachers of Israel. And the parents had to understand this, to know the gift that they had been presented by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to raise the child accordingly, and to raise the child in such fashion that he indeed would be able to ultimately take his place at the helm of the nation of Israel. And therefore Moshe presented himself at the door of the tent so that they should understand the gift they had been granted. Similarly, I believe, after all the numbers were gathered regarding the other 11 tribes of Israel, the Pasuk tells us, on the first day of the month of Iyar, the second year of Klal Yisrael having left Egypt, with the second year beginning on Nisan, the Pasuk doesn't say Vayimnu, that they were counted, or Vayispakdu, they were counted or appointed. Rather, it says Vayisiyaldu amishpachosam leveisavosam, that they were born, as it were, in accordance with their families, in accordance with the homes of their fathers, their antecedents. And what this says to me is Vayisyaldu means that a person understands not simply the yichus from which he comes. As Rashi points out, they had to present their yichus to know which shevet they emanated from. But it means when a person is told, do you know what shevet you come from? Do you know what that Shevet was known for? Do you know all of the talent, all of the strength, all of the abilities that are latent within that Shevet amongst you are to be numbered? Which means that the people first, in understanding their yichus, Vayis they understood the families, the tribes that they were born into, and they understood well the gift they had been given by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and what they were in turn to bring forth into fruition. Today is Yom Yerushalayim, and we know that indeed Adam, we are told, was created from the earth on the spot of Har HaBayis, where the Mizbeach and the Beis HaMikdash would ultimately stand. And indeed, that's where Noach had brought his korban. And indeed, that's where Avraham had brought Yitzchak for the Akedah. And our history of Klal Yisrael, David HaMelech establishing Yerushalayim as the capital of Israel, has always indeed surrounded and revolved around this holy city that serves as the nexus between ourselves and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And for 1900 years, we effectively were unable to lay sovereign upon the city. And then suddenly in 1967, on the 28th day of the month of Iyar, we were presented with it by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What a gift. What a responsibility. What a rebirth of Klal Yisrael. And how many Balei Tshuva, how many yeshivos of Balei Tshuva, how many yeshivos, how many kollelem, how many areas have been established since 1967, teeming with Torah, with a reemergence, re-energizing, and rebirth of Klal Yisrael in association with the Torah HaKadosha. What a gift we have been given. What a responsibility we have to appreciate it, understand what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has granted us, and Vayis do to live up to what he expects of us, to understand whom we are from our birth, and to understand exactly what we celebrate today and what is ours to accomplish. Wonderful Shabbos.